Hello and welcome back to Strong Woman Highs - Life is a Mishmash. This says it is live streaming. I hope it's not, but if it is, well, it is. Anyway, we are here today with very special guest all the way from the USA. We have Natasha Swartley, aka Thor, the race medic, my absolute guru of all things ultra marathons, running, all sorts of stuff. So, do you want to give a quick introduction to everybody about who you are, what you're all about, and all that sort of jazz?
Yeah, first off, Becca, thanks for having me. And I know we said it offline, but I just keep staring at your tweets on your head, and they're just absolutely adorable. So I'm
I've
really
got the
curious
birds here
to hear
telling me
what they
their
have to say
secrets.
about
So.
our conversation. Um, no, thanks for having me. I live in Colorado Springs, y'all. I'm born and raised in Pennsylvania. I was in the U.S. Navy for 20 years. Retired just about 4 years ago. Got into ultra running officially about 3 years ago. But I ran my first ultra marathon in 2019, and then the world just kind of did what it did for COVID. So it wasn't until after I retired that I got into ultras. Yes, I'm a race medic, if you will. Um, I started volunteering as an EMT at a local race in New Jersey when I lived out in the East Coast, and I was networked to Destination Trail Race Series, which hosts all the three 200-mile races, and now the 300-mile event known as the Arizona Monster. I've tended to athletes with this race series for the last 2.5 years. I was just at the Monster, so that was my seventh race with this race circuit that I've worked. But I worked with Sasquatch Race Series out in New Jersey. I've worked with oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Mad Moose Productions here in Colorado and Utah. And I've worked with a couple local races here in Colorado Springs area. So my specialty happens to be feet and hugs, and my biggest gross factor is feet. So I'm
Yeah,
here.
hard relate, hard relate. Those, I feel like I've been given a foot phobia from this fucking past week. Like, I wasn't even that bothered about feet, and now I'm like, no, don't come near me with your feet. It's gross. I don't need to ever see another foot again.
No,
Yeah,
after the race, I don't even want to look at my feet. And I'm prepping for my own event in 2 months. And I'm like, I don't even want to look at my feet. Like, I'll, in the race, like, I can put it all aside, whatever. But no, after the race, don't talk to me. Like, don't talk to me
yeah.
about feet.
100%, yeah. When I got back from the Airbnb when I'd gone and picked Jeff up and we got back and Jeff was like, "Can you just have a look at my feet and just sort them out before I go to sleep?" And you know when you're like, "No, I don't want to look at feet anymore." Oh, I did it. I did it.
Traumatized.
Yeah, it was
But
gross.
will I
Luckily,
do
his
it?
feet
Yes.
weren't too bad. Yeah,
Oh, good.
yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, we'll just get on with it now at this point. Like
Yep.
past
Yep.
the point of caring. Awesome. Wow, you've got such a cool history as well. Like I can't so I was listening to your Distance to Empty podcast. We were listening to it on the way back from the airport, me and Ben. And because I was under the impression that you've worked for Destination Trail for years, like since the beginning, because of like how like integrated into the team you are and how like knowledgeable you are with all of the like medic stuff. So the fact that it was only your seventh race on the Arizona Monster is crazy because you were like in charge. Like, if I had a problem, I was like, Thor, help. What do I do?
I appreciate it. Yeah, I think the background, like having served in the Navy, right? I did 20 years. No, I was not a medic. Most will assume that like, oh, you must have been a medic in the Navy. No, no, actually I worked with weapons, and fighter jets, and I used to load bombs on jets and missiles and guns and weapon systems and that kind of thing. So like working under pressure is where I thrive. And I would love to say that there's a lot of pressure working at the races. There isn't, and there is. So if you're not accustomed to working under like high pressure environments, like wartime environments, working, at these events can be very trying.
Yeah.
Whereas like for me, it's just like, great, like, oh, great, more pressure. Like, let's go. Like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Um, and no, medic has not always been my background. I was inspired to be a medic in my youth after I had a near tragic event where I got injured. I was still in the Navy, but however, I couldn't change my job to be a medic. I was too senior in my job position. So I was like, okay. So I waited till I retired, went to EMT school, specifically wilderness EMT school. And, but the military taught me so much about how to do leadership, how to, manage certain situations, take control, handle certain things. I like to say this one: stay in your swim lane. So know where your business is needed and know where your nose is not, per
Yeah.
se, and stay focused, intentionally focused on the mission at hand. But that said, it's also taught me that teamwork is exactly how things get done. So being well versed in a lot of areas is actually a benefit. So knowing how to set up an aid station, to knowing how to fix a blister, to knowing how to help folks, help crew, help their runners, or knowing what I know a little bit about the race course, because oftentimes I really don't look ahead at the race course. Like I have no
Yeah.
idea what it looks like out there. I just get the remnants from the runners and then I'm able to share it forward. But all
Yeah.
those little things add up to like the teamwork and knowing your people. I think that's the biggest takeaway I got from serving in the Navy is getting to know my people, knowing who's who. And I really, really do make effort to get to know the runners individually. And,
Yeah.
and I always ask for forgiveness because I can't remember all their names,
Yeah.
and because we cross paths so many times, but um, getting to know them intimately and their passions and their place, like where they're at in their head and where they're at in their heart and what their goal is, and not just in the race, but life in general.
Yeah.
Really, really is what kind of, I guess, got me to where I'm at this point, working now 7 races, but knowing so many folks out there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think it makes a massive difference, doesn't it? Like having that personal approach with people, especially at aid stations where they get to you and they're so fucked. They don't know what's going on at all. And if you can call them by their name and give them a little bit of like, yeah, I know who you are. Like I know your
Hmm.
journey. Come and sit down. Let's have a little chill out. I think it makes a
Hmm.
huge difference to a lot of people during that race, doesn't it?
It does, give them that personalization back. They're a person, they're a human being, and sometimes when I run ultras, right, and I can't say that what I experience is the same as what everyone else or vice versa, but I know that sometimes coming to that aid station and being personified again, and being like reminded that I'm a human being and not just some number on a course. Every
Yeah,
single one of these runners is that they are a person, they're a human, and like, I love giving hugs. I love reminding them that emotions are real. And I've said this before too, that like, I work on their feet, and most runners who know me well know that I absolutely hate feet. I think they're gross. They're so nasty, especially ultra runner feet. But at the same
yeah,
time, like, in order to touch their soul, I got to go through your feet.
yeah,
So, and like just being able to like be there for them, take some weight off, not their shoulders, but their feet, literally take weight off their feet, tend to them, try to get them to calm down a little bit. Just that little bit of time with them is so maximizing. Yeah, maximizing. Sure. It's a vocab
yeah,
word now.
yeah.
Um, to their potential later on.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think it just makes a huge difference, and just because it was such a long time as well that they were out, like every little like interaction that you can have with someone makes a difference. And I think as well that's probably why we got such a good finishing rate on that Arizona Monster.
Oh
So
my God.
the finisher rate was about 70%, wasn't it? Which, I mean, I did not expect. I think when I'd first started, I was like, if we get 50% finishers, I think I'll be
Yeah.
surprised, because I know that like the previous 200s that they've done, like Moab and Tahoe and Bigfoot, it's about 50-60% finishing rate. Sometimes it's a little bit higher, but majority is about half of the pack will finish in like a decent
Mhm.
time, whereas that Arizona Monster people were just smashing through it, weren't they? Just
It
couldn't get him to
was
stop.
Yeah, it was impressive. I will say after the event, like I was emotional. Like, I was
Yeah,
crying for all of it because it was just like mind blowing. The way that the cohesion of the runners came together. They were supporting each other through the event, and I see this a lot at the 200s, but there's something so uniquely different. Arizona trails are ungodly and they are
yeah,
brutal. They are very challenging. I encourage folks to experience it because it is a journey.
yeah,
Um, and to see, and then like let's add in the fact that like when they started the run, so Friday, April 4th, when they started the run, we had really nice temps. It was cool. It was perfect, but progressively it got to the 90s and
yeah,
in Fahrenheit. And it was brutal. But like to see the folks like the aid stations teaming up with the runners and everybody taking care of each other. And then the runners, I think the success rate was just in how intelligent and strategic the runners became towards the end of the race. They were
yeah,
hunkering down during the day at the aid station, staying cool, sleeping. They were sleeping and then
yeah,
moving through the night. And that contributed a lot to the great finish. But let's not forget like all the team effort that came into it, the aid stations providing all the food. The volunteers were phenomenal and so
yeah,
grateful for all the time they committed to the runners, the crews of the runners, and then the medics, us medics, Becca. Like, I kept hearing great things about you and Connor and Bill and Annette and oh my gosh, who else was out there? Rick and John. I know I'm forgetting a couple others. So yeah, like it was a full blown team effort, and these runners like tenacious. It was
yeah.
awesome.
They just battled on till the end, didn't they? Like, I know there was quite a few runners that at the end said to me, like, if you hadn't looked after this, if you hadn't done that, I might not have finished. And I was like, no, I think you would have. You 100% would have. Like, all of
Yeah,
these people had the ability to finish. They just needed that little helping hand at the right time to be like, no, you've got this. Come on, you can finish this now. Let's
absolutely.
go.
Absolutely. And it's not always about the coddling. Sometimes it was a knife hand and be like, quit being a fucking pussy. Like, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. Stop being a bitch. Get out there now. Just
Yes,
sick of seeing
you
you.
asked for this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You've signed up and paid for this. Come on, mate. You get your money's
Yep,
worth. I wear.
let's go. Yeah. Eat your
Yeah,
burger, dry your tears.
yeah, 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 yeah. You'll be all right. Yeah,
Absolutely.
cool.
Oh,
So then, if we look at, so for anyone who doesn't know, we'll just quickly do the Arizona Monster was a 300-mile ultra marathon that was put on by Destination Trail. We started on Friday, Friday the 4th, and finished on Friday. Can't remember what the date was, but we finished on Friday as well. So they had 7 days to do it, 170 hours, I think the cutoff was, wasn't it? We had, I think, was there 230 or 40 finishes, something like that. I think 288 had set off, didn't there? And we had a
just
70%
about
success rate. So
300.
that must be, yeah. So we should have had about 240, 250 finishes probably. But yeah, it was unbelievable. Probably one of the best experiences of my entire life. I've never slept so little, but enjoyed it so much. So, and anyone who's like interested in looking at it, it's all up on the website. Registration's open now if you wanted to do it for next year. Me and Thor are going to bang out some tips towards the end of what you should look for doing at the end, to try and get you to finish the race. But in terms of our personal experiences, so what was your Arizona Monster high, Thor?
Um, oh man. I mean, I always get a high seeing the runners finish. However, I wasn't at the finish line this year. I was at the last aid station. You and I were covering that down, and then John came in and covered it down.
Yeah,
Um, so big high for me too was also the teamwork between our medical staff. about how we took care of each other. But I'm going to take this on a personal note. My big high was I adopted my friend Drew, and I was crewing him in addition to working. So similar to how you were crewing Ben. Um, and then, but
Yeah.
I didn't have quite the flexibility. So Drew's dad came out. So I was kind of like trying to teach Drew's dad how to crew him in my absence. Um, but then I got to pace him in the last 16 miles. So I, I've I've done some of the Arizona Trail with Candace last year on her AZT attempt with the section that we did the last 16 miles leading in. So I side note, I'm training for Tahoe. Tahoe 200 will be my first 200 miler, and I've never come into the finish line of a destination race. So even now as a pacer, this was new for me. So to pace Drew in after crewing him and supporting runners all day was a huge win. It was a high for me.
Yeah.
Knowing his dad was there, knowing his dad came out from the East Coast to support him, and then Drew allowed me to just like jump in and basically like scold him and tell him what to do. But to see him cross the finish line after 300 miles, knowing what he had been through, just through what he had told me. And then, but get to see it from their perspective was really uplifting and something to look forward to. Cause like the challenge is real. Like these courses, regardless of where they're at, these distances really challenge you a lot. And when you see that line, you can perceive it as just like a gate to walk through, but it's so much more than that. So it was just that was my highlight. That was my high. It was just like being able to support him through the process while supporting other runners, but also getting like a personal effect of it, you know, taking him in those last
Yeah.
16 miles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
You guys did that early morning, didn't you? You were coming. What time did you get in? About like 6 or something, didn't you?
No, not quite that early. Actually earlier. Shoot, I think we came in between midnight and 1 a.m. on
Yeah.
Yeah, and then because I think we snuck into your B&B at like 2 a.m.
I can't even
Sorry.
remember it, me. Can't. I'm sure I woke up and saw you, but I was like, I'm dead to the world. You could have
You
robbed us.
both
We wouldn't
shot
have
up
known.
out of bed. You both shot up. It was like spring forward. I was like, sorry guys. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be really quiet. So sorry. You're like, no mate, it's okay. We're good.
I think we were both just so knackered. We had no idea what was going on. We were like, yeah, cool. Sleep. Goodbye. See you in the morning.
You're here safe. That's great. Congrats. Good night.
Yeah, yeah. I was remember because I was watching you guys on the tracker and I was like, yeah, I reckon they'll get in about like 3, 4-ish, something like that. Then you guys just
Yeah.
rocked up super early and I was like, whoa, what's going
Yeah.
on? But
Yeah. Oh, I was pushing him hard. I was like, no, we're like, I didn't want
yeah,
to stop. I wanted to keep him going. And it was impressive to watch like the effort he gave at the tail end. Like I was like, oh my God, like this dude is a beast. Like he was
yeah,
straight savage those last 16 miles. It was awesome.
yeah. You were covering some ground like those last few miles. You were absolutely
Hmm.
beating it in, weren't you? And I think that's just amazing, like that anybody can do that after like being out on the trail 5, 6, 7 days and dealing with all that mileage under your belt already to then be able to run at all in those last
Hmm.
16 miles is like unbelievable, isn't it?
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. And it's impressive. And at that point, you just realize like what the human body's potential is. And like
Yeah.
realize that like we are born to run, literally born to move, born to run. Our bodies need movement. And like,
Yeah.
it's this is just a whole other like I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but just recognizing that our bodies actually are designed to move and we ruin them by sitting too long. So
Yeah.
move, folks. Like it's actually really good for your body. Move. You don't
Yeah.
have to go 300 miles, but move.
No, yeah. You don't have to take it to the extremes, but the more you can
Oh,
do, the
oh.
better. No, I
Yes.
totally agree. I'm a big movement is medicine person, so I'm with you on that one. Yeah. But
Wonderful.
I think
What was
my
your high?
my high, I think, was just getting to meet everybody, to be honest. Like I very quickly realized that I didn't have any boundaries set whatsoever. I was having such a good time. I just couldn't say no to anybody. So I'd get to places and they'd be like, "How long are you going to stay?" And I'd just be like, "I'll stay as long as you want. How long do you want me for? I'll just stay here forever. I'm having a great time." And like people would be queuing up and have a queue of people to sort their feet out, and I'd be sat there thinking, I need to go. And they're just like, "Oh, can you just do this? Can you just do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right then. That's fine. That's fine. That's all
Aw.
right." And I think that was my biggest high, was just getting to hang out with everybody. And like as well, I think because it's such a different thing from strongman for me, from what I'm usually used to within sport, just trying to get into people's heads of how they were feeling and how they were dealing with that journey of running 300 miles, and getting to talk to them like one to one and be like, "How actually are you? Like, how are you getting on? What do you need from me?" It was such a good insight into like people's brains. I feel like I made friends for life within a couple of minutes of meeting people, because you were just getting them in such, we were in such vulnerable positions, all of us. We were all just like, "Yes, we're all good friends. We can do this. We can get through this. We can all make it. Like, come on." It was such a good camaraderie feeling, which you do get in strongman. But I think in that scenario, with the added massive sleep deprivation, it was a lot more like intense and felt really important, which I mean, it was important, but it just felt like I was doing a super important job. And I loved that. I loved that pressure, and I loved that, like, oh my God, like, this is just awesome. If
Mhm.
that makes sense. I don't think it does. There's my tired ramblings, this.
It makes so much sense because it really, so it's not just about like, I think when people hear that, like, oh, we're running 300 miles, we're really not running a lot. We are on a journey.
Yeah,
It is a life-changing event because you're out there for hours, and you're right, you bond, and not just as the runners and the participants, but we bond, those of us at the aid stations, like the medic teams with the captains and the volunteers, like we all bond. We bond
yeah,
with the crew because the crew come and ask so many questions, and it's just another reminder that hard times require team. They require like you really need, like, think about the vulnerability that each person had out there. And I'm not just talking the runners, like each person was so
yeah,
vulnerable. They're tired, they're sleep deprived, but yet here we are, we're still giving our all, doing our best to make sure that every person is getting the benefit of whatever they need. If they need some solo time, if they need some sleep time, like that's comradeship 101. And
yeah,
we all took care of each other out there. And there wasn't, I don't recall ever hearing any complaints of people not getting necessarily what they need, maybe complaints of like not getting enough of what they need. Um,
yeah,
but definitely like folks were being supported. Runners, just the vulnerability being out there. And I can't imagine what it's like doing strongman. You have all your resources really easily accessible, whereas out here,
yeah,
you are the resource. And like sometimes the only resource you have available might be as simple as a hug. And,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like those hugs, oh my God. And going back to the feet, right? Like taking care of somebody, just giving them some sort of comfort. And not just food comfort, but like psychological and emotional comfort really go a long, long way. And those bonds are forever tight.
yeah.
They are forever stronghold. Because
Absolutely. No, it feels like it. It genuinely does feel like it. I think as well, because you forget, like, we only see the runners when they're coming into the aid stations. Like, I didn't spend any time on the actual trail, so I was only seeing people as they were coming in. And you, there's a funny thing, like, there's a thing in the NHS that's make every contact count. It's like an initiative that they do, where like when you're a healthcare provider, every time you meet a patient, you make sure that contact counts. You make
right.
sure they remember it, and it's like a useful contact for them. And I was sort of using that while I was on the trail and while I was doing the aid stations, because I thought these people are only going to see me for 5, 10, 15 minutes maximum. I need to make sure that when they leave here, that's been beneficial for them. That has made
Mhm.
them feel better, because the 8, 10, 12 hours that they're now going to spend out on that trail, probably on their own, with their own thoughts in their own head is going to be where the problems are.
Yeah.
That's where people crumble. That's where people are going to have the issue. So when they get here and they see me, I need to be on top form as the best that I can possibly be, so that when they leave, they feel like a new person again. They can
Yeah.
crack on. They're starting at the top of the tank again instead of at the absolute bottom when they come in.
Yeah, yeah. And it's such a good feeling. Like for me, it's very fulfilling. And like when
Yeah,
folks reach out and they say thank you, you know, for your help, I return that favor. Like I thank them for allowing me to be part of their journey, for trusting
absolutely. Yeah,
me, to support them in their most vulnerable states, to, you know, supporting them in their toughest moments. Like that really just like it's like wow, like you guys, you know, you trusted me, like, and we're strangers, yet here you are, like we did this, like, you know. And I know it's not exactly easy when your tank isn't as full as it could be, but yet when you see that person come in somehow, some way, I find with this community in general, somehow some way we find it within ourselves that we have just a little bit more to give,
yeah,
and it just makes every person's day and journey just that much more better. So when they do
100.
leave, like you said, like they can go out there with that little bit, like pulling a petal from a flower, picking a flower from a garden. They get to leave and they're carrying this flower for some time. They still have some of that scent to sniff
Yeah,
on, you know?
yeah. 100%. It's almost, I feel like it's almost selfish. Like, I think because I got so much out of that experience, I felt almost like I'd been so selfish because I was like enjoying myself so much. I was getting so much out of it, but it wasn't because of anything that I was doing. It was just the
Mm.
interactions that I was having with people. I was like, yeah, you guys are telling me that I'm great and like your feet feel much better and you feel so much better. But really, like, yeah, that's great for you, but I feel mint because of that now too. Like, thanks.
Yeah. It's not selfish at all. It's fulfilling, and I truly believe that it takes a very special person to not just volunteering wise, but I really want to highlight on the medical side because it really does take a special person to selflessly sacrifice their personal time and efforts, you know, in medicine, right? Because 90% of what we hear is complaints. And but we thrive on it because we know we're doing our best, and it's so fulfilling
Yeah,
to see someone bounce back, even just a wee little bit.
yeah,
And like my biggest fulfillment selfishly is I just want to see you finish or just do well. Like you don't even have to finish. I just want to see you keep going and give it your all because I'm proud of
yeah,
you no matter what.
yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. I
Yeah.
love that. Right. Well, let's move on to the bad bits then. What's been your Arizona monster low?
Ah, sleep. It's always
Yeah.
going to be my low. Is just with these races, I don't get a lot of sleep. I don't complain. I really don't. 20 years in the Navy, I didn't get a lot of sleep then. I still carry forward the same mission readiness in my head. It doesn't go away. I slept by the propane fires that we had, little campfires, making myself like readily available
Yeah.
in case of emergencies. That way, like the runners could see me. Nobody had to go find me. I was already there. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely like sleep. However, like I actually slept. You know, I have to say thanks to you. You let me sleep. You let me crash on your couch one night, which was oh, it's phenomenal. Like, it was so
Yeah.
nice. And then and it was at the end of the race, you know, like towards the end, like the night before or something like that, which was fine. Like I was not complaining at all. But definitely
Yeah.
like sleep.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with you. I worked out when I'd got back that I'd had like 28 hours of sleep in like out of 168, and I was like, no wonder you feel this bad. Like, no fucking, that's less than like a quarter of what you should have slept. No wonder you feel like you're about to fucking pass out. But
Yeah.
I didn't struggle as much as I thought I would because I was a night girly. Like I love sleep, so I expected to be a lot worse than I was. But I vividly remember when I finished at Gabe Zimmerman on, I think it was maybe Monday or Tuesday morning. I had to drive to Oak Tree, it was only maybe a 20-minute drive. And I got in the car, and the minute I got in the car, I was like, I'm going to throw up. Like, I can't drive. Like, there's no fucking way. And I started driving. I had the windows down. I had music blaring. I was like sticking my head out the window, like, come on, you can make this. And I managed to get there, and I got to Oak Tree, and I was like, right, guys, I can't do anything here. I'm going to have to go to sleep for a couple of hours because, like, I'm just past the point of being able to function anymore as a human being. Like, I can't even speak. So I went and
Yeah.
had a little lie down in the back of the car. A couple of hours, woke up, fine again. Absolutely normal. Like, the magic that 2 hours of sleep in the back of a car can do is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the same way the runners feel.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's literally like a reset button for people, isn't it? You're like, you're getting a
Yeah.
bit crazy. You're like, just go lie down for an hour and you'll
Mhm.
be all right in a bit. Yeah, sound.
Yeah.
Get down,
Yeah.
sleep, wake up, normal again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. Like even the moments that like if I needed to absolutely disconnect, I would go take a nap in my truck and whatnot. But even what I love the most, right, about all of this is yet like we were out there, we were with the runners in a sense of like just not getting enough sleep, and that's fine because you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So we need the sleep too. What I
Yeah,
loved about it is that like the aid stations and the runners and the crew also knew that because
yeah,
we're only one person. And so I always made a point to let the captain know, like, hey, if a runner comes in, like, let them know they can wake me if it's an emergency. And they
yeah,
wouldn't. They didn't wake me up, which like I really appreciate that, because they too understand that in order for us to support them in the best of our ability, that we are also human, we're not robotic and we're not
yeah,
infinite. So like I truly, truly appreciate the support that we got out there as
yeah,
well. Um
100%.
yeah, and runners and crew, like I don't know about you, but like they were checking on me. They were like, "Are you
Yeah,
getting sleep? Are you
yeah,
comfortable?" And it was just so thoughtful because like I'm looking at them and I'm like, honey, I'm gonna take care of you. We're gonna fix these. You need to get some sleep. Did you eat yet? And they're doing the same thing. So it was just really, really kind and generous. For them to be thinking of us as well, and
yeah,
in turn we're thinking of everyone else because like I would do the same to the captains, the volunteers there, like, are you guys getting the rest you need?
yeah,
And no shame, like stepping up my game. Like if I didn't have anything going on, like I'd try to help out where I could in the aid station, to try and give them the opportunity to rest a little bit, and that's where that team effort comes. But I think it's hilarious how you note like 2 hour nap gets you a long way.
In no other circumstance would that ever work in real life, would it? You would never be able to just go and have 2 hours of sleep and be like, yeah, I'm good again. Whereas in this weird scenario, we were all just like, 2 hours? Oh, it's a fucking lie in that. Nice one. Let's go.
I feel like a champ right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Complete reset. Felt perfect. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
agree. I think the aid stations were so good. I know there's been a bit of backlash online about them, and I think to be honest, like from looking at it, it's mainly on Reddit where like I think from what they've been writing, no one was actually there. Like the
Hmm.
majority of people that are slating it didn't actually do the bloody race. So how do you know? And I know there was always issues. There's always going to be issues with stuff running out at aid stations because that's what they are. Like they're temporary places for people to stop at. There's
Hmm.
always going to be stuff that runs out. But one, the team was on it, absolutely
Yes.
on it. Whenever something was getting low, people were driving all over the place to get other stuff. Like I never came up against anything where I was like, oh my God, we've run out of whatever. Like there was always plenty of stuff at the aid stations for me. And I just
Hmm.
think like everyone was working so hard. It's just a bit of a shame that people have decided to sort of take that stance on it because
Hmm.
I think it was great.
As do I. And I choose not to like read into those things. Like I don't even access Reddit or anything. And because firsthand experience from crews, runners, us, like that's where the truth lies. And
Yeah,
to be honest, like I don't remember what aid stations you were at. I know that the four that I was at, um, for one, it was the inaugural event. Like, let's give some grace there. And two,
Yeah.
it's 300 fucking miles. Like, it's a
Yeah.
long time, not just
There's
for
going to be
runners, but
problems, isn't
even
there? Yeah.
always, always. I have never encountered any event in any capacity, whether when I was running Spartans or when I ran road races and now ultras, there is nothing that ever goes perfect. So, all that said, the amount of effort that came in from volunteers from all over the place, runners who ended up like not finishing, excuse me, I got furrow over my face, runners who DNF'd and then stayed after to assist our aid stations.
Yeah.
Crews also did the same. So crews, if they weren't sleeping, they were assisting some of our volunteers. Like, hey, we got time, why not help out?
Yeah.
And then volunteers would move from aid station, like helping out. I can't say enough of how much gratitude I feel for every person that contributed time and effort to this entire event.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. And, at the end of the day, we got runners home safely. We got
Yeah.
runners back. Like, we had no major injuries, none. And this
Which is
course is
insane.
brutal. It's
Yeah.
nuts. And we had a
Yeah.
70% finishing race on the first 300-mile event. Like,
Yeah.
I, I
Crazy.
can't, I can't see past that. I cannot see anything past that. It's phenomenal what
Yeah.
everybody did.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's just the mass effort that everybody put in, I think, to make that a success really showed. And it was just like you were saying with the crew and the volunteers and the people who didn't finish but were then still helping out. Like every aid station had so many people there that were just so invested and so willing to help. And I think that's what carried it through was
Hmm.
just that massive support from everybody.
Totally, totally. This is why I love the trail community because we do come together knowing that like we thrive in each other's company and no one person is successful without another. And like it just the community itself, the family, that we are and how we all support each other in these huge efforts. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. So let's move on then. Let's first off, I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent here because I want to know what your high and low was, but in terms of the medicing that you had to do. So what was your high and low injury?
So injuries, we had some ankle rolls and whatnot, but there was a gentleman I worked on at the last aid station. Names will, I'm HIPAA, right? So I'm just honor his name, but he had taken a pretty gnarly spill, and he just had all these different wounds. The poor guy. He had like Oh, he had quite the wound. So he had broken the tip of his finger and like the nail bed had lifted up. So there's blood all over and it was like crushed. Thank God not the first time an injury. First time it's not the first time he had broken it, but like when I was like trying to clean it up, I could feel the crepitus in there.
Oh
And like
no.
it makes me gag thinking about it because I can just feel like crunchy, not solid bone. And I was like, this
Right.
is so gross. I'm not going to mess with it. We're just going to attempt to splint it. And like, just trying to help clean up all this dry blood from nosebleed and fall. But he had like pustules like on his wrist from his watch. He had pustules around his belly from where a belt was rubbing. And then he had sunburn. Oh, the poor guy. And he was
Oh
dehydrated. So like I spent a good 2 hours just trying to clean him up and allow him to rest and recover before heading out. He was so ahead in
yeah.
time on the race. So we had the time to really just like mend some wounds, clean some things up, um, and like just try to give his body some breathing room, essentially.
Yeah.
Um, but I was laughing when I was telling him. I was like, I'm legit gagging because there's some things going on. I was like, what? And it
Yeah.
wasn't his feet. He didn't even take his socks off.
Yeah. 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 Didn't even get to the
So
feet.
Oh, like I think that was my high and my low because it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. I chose. He permitted that I give him some assistance, but I think like getting ahead on some of the wound care that he needed. I mean, 2 hours. We had a lot of dry blood. We had some wounds to bandage or just clean up.
Yeah.
And just taking time to really pay attention, and because his back was chafed, and like just trying to like really take good care of his body. So when he went out to take those last 16 miles, he would have less to be concerned about after he finished.
Yeah.
So, worst, he was probably the worst I had seen the whole course. The
Yeah.
poor guy, he was such a trooper about it too. And like, I appreciate his positivity through it all because he was making jokes and rehydrating on fluids. But like, I could tell that like things just were not comfortable. And so I
Yeah.
appreciate like that he allowed me to assist him in getting him back to like at least some state of comfort, and care.
Yeah.
But then there was the other story. I wasn't there to witness it, but we had a guy who rolled his ankle pretty hard. And like, I was briefing him like, hey bro, like this is pretty bad. It's discolored. I don't know what's going on, and I just want you to know like the risks. And he's just like, I accept the risk. I can bear weight on it, and I'm gonna keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
He continued. I don't know if he finished, but man, that dude trucked along, and I was so impressed. So impressed.
Yeah.
In fact, the swelling reduced. Like,
Yeah.
believe it
So
or
I
not.
think I think I met this guy at the pub on the last day because he finished on the Friday because he told me the
Oh.
story and he showed me the picture and I remember him showing me the picture of his ankle roll and it was bad, like it was huge, it was like blue. I was like fucking hell, and he'd said, oh, I think the medics were trying to pull me, but like I wasn't having any of it. So he said to me he went for a piss and he fell down a ravine like just looking for the toilets, and that's how he did his ankle. And then had to walk, like he fell down the ravine. They couldn't get him back up because they didn't have a long enough piece of rope. So he had to walk back round to get back into the aid station. And then, yeah, they were like, oh, we think we're going to pull you. And he was like, no, I'm just going to carry on. So, yeah, he did
Yeah,
finish, and his
yeah.
ankle was like fine. It was
Oh,
absolutely
it's
fine. He was
amazing.
like, yeah, it wasn't that bad. There was still bruising and stuff, but like, he was like, yeah, I can walk on it. I'm all right. I was like, what?
And that's so
Wild.
impressive. It is the same guy. Because, like, I was concerned. I was like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, and you do
If I'd
everything
seen
you
his
can.
ankle, I'd have probably pulled him, yeah, because it looked bad.
Yeah. And sometimes it looks worse than it is. He could bear weight. He was willing to. He
Oh
wasn't
gosh, yeah.
a risk, and I was like, wow, okay,
He's still
like,
there.
and he accepted it, and he
Oh,
he
I can sort of
finished.
still hear. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it must have been the same guy. That guy must have been the same
Mhm.
guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely finished. He was an Australian dude, wasn't he? He was just like not bothered. He hadn't come that far to pull out halfway through, had he?
No, no. And according to his kids, he'd never not finished a race. And I loved his passion for it. I
Yeah,
really do. I love his tenacity for it because he was like he was gonna go. And I
yeah.
I fucking love it.
Yeah,
Like,
he was just not bothered at all, was he? Just straight
mm,
back out there. No,
yep.
I think my biggest my biggest scare, I think, was that I had a guy come in, an older dude, at the Freeman aid station. So it was only mile 75 we were at, and he had like two visible puncture wounds on his leg. And I remember looking at it and being like, "What is that?" Because it looks very much to me like a snake bite, and I have not got the ability or the kit to deal with this if this is a snake bite. And I kept
Yeah.
asking him and being like, "Have you been bitten? Did you kick anything? Have you fallen into anything?" I can't remember. No, no idea what's happened. No idea what's happened. And I was like, "Fuck it, please, no." So I cleaned it off, and luckily, once I'd cleaned it, it didn't look as snake bitey. So I was like, right, okay, we're cool. Like I'll let you go, but like just keep an eye on this. And if it goes red or it gets hot and swollen, I need you to stop immediately and ring somebody and
Yeah.
get them to get you. And I had a couple of them because I think because I had very little experience coming into this of what I was going to be dealing with, I'd obviously watched videos and I'd spoke to you guys, and you guys have given me loads of great information. But there was a few times where like my sort of clinical training kicked in, and I was like, I don't like the look of this. I don't. This doesn't look right to me. This looks bad. And I know that one thing that did catch me out on, I think, a few people was the tendonitis. So like
Mhm.
the oh god, what's the muscle name? The muscle down the side of your shin. I'm gonna get hammered for this because I can't remember it.
Anterior tibialis.
Anterior tibialis. So that the tendonitis injuries that were coming in from that was so different from what I would expect and like I have previously seen. Like people's shins were literally swelling. They were
Mhm.
huge, bright red, like bruised up all the way up the legs sometimes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this that's not normal. What? Why does it look like this? Like I'm feeling the back of the calves thinking, have they got a fucking DVT or something? What the fuck's going on here? And like they were like,
Yeah.
no, it'll be all right, it'll be all right, we'll be fine. So I'd taped a few up, just a few ankles to hopefully take a bit of pressure off at the
Mhm.
AT. But I don't know whether it made a difference or not. But people still finished, so I thought, well,
I
better now.
it's so hard. It's such a hard line to draw because when you work at these races, like the headstrong, right? Like
Yeah,
a lot of them are all like, well, if my bone's not penetrated and I'm still alive, I can keep going.
yeah,
And I get it. I found a way to reduce some swelling by doing some lymphatic drainage on some
yeah,
of the AT and around the ankle joints. Like one of my guys, this is also a high, he came into the last aid station and he's like, I can't even move my ankle. And I was like, okay, well, with your permission, I'm going to try some things. So I was massaging upward on both sides of the tibia. And so for those, it's the shin bone. So one side is more bone, and then the
yeah,
other side is your actual muscle that runs up. And that muscle is if you think your tibia here, that muscle is used to actually move your foot up and down. And like he couldn't, but the swelling was so much in there. And so I was like, all right, well, here we go. So I was like doing my best to like literally you could just see fluid being moved upward toward his
yeah.
knee. And like we gave him an inch back, like of flexion.
It's
And like
massive.
it's huge, like massive change. Like he was actually able to rotate his foot, actually got flexion back in his foot, less painful. And then like he left like rejuvenated. He left the aid station and like he came back after he finished and he's like, boy, do I have a story to tell you. And I was like, please do. He's like, so I felt so good like after you worked on me. And like he's like, I could run. I could actually run. And like Forrest Gump, I fucking ran. And I was running and I didn't realize it. I missed a turn. So
Oh
he's like,
no,
he
no.
he got an extra 5K in because he went out like another mile and a half, figured it out, turned around, went back, and he's like, oh, then I started to slow down a little bit. But man, I fucking ran.
Oh
He legit
no.
ran a full 500K, so 310 miles on this course. But to hear that, like that little bit of work, because like KT tape can reduce like some of the pressure off and open some of those channels. But man, sometimes you really gotta like get in it. And
Yeah,
I found it to work on a couple folks to help force that fluid that what we know as edema
yeah,
up out of the ankles because it's just from gravity. Like it's hard to
yeah,
see it. Like if you haven't seen it before, it's hard to look at it and not wonder like, is this guy's
yeah,
heart okay? Or
yeah.
like, should they even be on it? Like, cause like in some cases, it looks like their ass cheek fell and was caught by their stomach.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
100%. I had a few people like that where I was like, if I didn't know any better, I would think you've got sepsis and you're probably on the borderline of dying now. And like, you're like,
yeah,
well, I can't pull you, so
yeah.
you're just gonna have to carry on. And if it gets worse, you're gonna have to ring someone and tell them and just stop. But
Mhm.
unless if that doesn't happen, then just crack on, mate. You'll probably be okay.
Yeah,
But like, there's
yeah,
alarm bells going off in your head, like, don't let them go, and you're like, nah,
yeah,
you're gonna have to. It'll be right. It'll be right.
yeah. And the beautiful thing about these distances is that so long as they're not pushing cutoffs, you have time. You
Yeah.
have time to put your feet up. You have time to manipulate some of this. You have time to observe, to make sure that it isn't anything worse. Because the body is going to display really strong symptoms, especially in these runners, right?
Yeah.
They're very healthy and they've done this. I mean, to go, I don't think I interviewed anybody who hadn't at least run 100 miles.
Yeah.
Some folks did not do 200, but almost all of them had at least done 100 or more mile races. So
Hmm.
they knew, like, they know their bodies. So listening to them helps guide you. And then knowing
Yeah.
your background, like you've done PT type work, I've done EMT type work, but like knowing, like putting your head in their head and like trying to like really figure it out, but their health is so strong, like, okay, and then we do pre-race interviews, like we get pretty intense with some of the interviews,
Yeah.
asking, like, because yes, they sign waivers, they do medical questionnaires, but even still, like, we ask the questions
Yeah.
before they even get their bib on, the day before the race. So we do have quite an extensive like background check to help guide us along to make sure that we are not allowing any, like, to the best of our abilities, anybody with some severe injuries. Can it slip through the cracks? Yeah. Why? Because we're people and we want to do something great. And are we going to lie
Yeah.
about our health? Yep. Like,
Yeah.
you know, um, but that's what we do. Like we monitor, and that's the greatest thing. Like it's harder in the 100-mile races to monitor for long periods of time because time is of the essence. And of
Yeah.
course, like shorter distance races, you don't necessarily have all the checkpoints like marathons and whatnot. But
Yeah.
out here, like you have to
Yeah.
check these folks. And and folks know it best. Like some folks had left out knowing they had an injury and they were gonna make an attempt, and those folks, in some cases, came back. They gave it
Yeah.
effort and so much kudos because their heart was in it, and they just realized that, like, no, you know what, it's not worth it, and that's okay. It's
Yeah.
absolutely okay, because you know what, the
Yeah.
race
Yeah.
is always going to be there.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and the hardest part is towing the line, like getting up to there and saying, like, I'm gonna fucking do this. So no matter
Yeah.
what distance you accomplished, you towed that line. There's so much courage to
Absolutely.
be seen in that.
100%. 100%. I totally agree. I just think that they've just all smashed it, haven't they? Everyone did so fucking well. It was just awesome to see.
It's
I loved
amazing.
every minute of it. Yeah, I loved every
Let
minute of it.
let's highlight the DFL. How old did you catch how old she was?
Yeah, was she 62?
62 years old. 62.
Insane.
Don't come at me and say you're too fucking old to do this shit.
Nah,
62.
exactly. And for anyone who doesn't know, so DFL is dead fucking last.
Yes. Yes.
So she came in, I think it was like, was it 162 hours or 63 hours, something like that? She came
Yeah.
in just like about 4 or 5 hours before the cutoff for the whole race. And I mean,
Yeah.
it was a cool video to see her coming in at the very end. And she looked fine as well, didn't she? Like she
She
didn't
was
really look like she
amazing.
was struggling.
No. And
She was
like,
just
and
smashing
then,
along.
and in this year, I can't speak to others, but I know with Destination Trail, we celebrate DFL better than we celebrate first place finisher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
get a
Yeah.
tunnel, they get the biggest crowd. Like we celebrate the DFL, and quite frankly, I think the DFL deserves the most celebration. They're out there the
Totally agree.
longest. They're
Yep.
out there exposed to everything for the longest periods of time. Like DFL is probably by far the best finisher ever.
100%. It's the most hardcore of all the people doing that
Hmm.
race, I think, because if you've had to deal with everything out there, it's not just
Hmm.
like some people were finishing that race in like 3-4 days, weren't they? You are exposed to the elements, but like not as much as if you're out there for 7 full days. Like
Yeah.
you've got so much other stuff to be battling against, haven't you?
Mhm.
So it was fair. It was
And
absolutely
she
solid.
was she was so sweet every step of the way.
Yeah, she was so cute, wasn't she?
Just so many kudos, because it was like when I watched the video of her coming through, I was like, oh, girl power.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. No.
So much kudos to her. Like it was emotional watching that, because it was just like just the DFL in general. And then just, she's 62. She's 62 years old, like finishing this. And it was just impressive, you know?
I totally agree. And do you know what as well? There was quite a lot of that, wasn't there? There was a lot of women in that race in general. And like
Yes.
where we see our like top finishers like Anne Tisdale, she absolutely smashed it out of the park, like
Yeah, she
105
did.
hours or something she finished it in, which is just insanity. But then I
Yeah.
also know there was runners like was it Tandy who had the knee brace on for the
Oh,
entirety
yeah.
of the race?
Yep. And
And just
Melissa
like
had a knee brace.
yeah, and like I'd spoke to a few of them a couple of times just about like why they had a knee brace on and stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, I've just got horrific arthritis," and you're like,
Mhm.
"And you're doing this?
Yep.
What?"
Yep.
Yeah, just crack it on,
It's,
not bothered.
motion is the lotion. Like,
Absolutely, yeah,
motion is the lotion. Like, the more you sit, especially those with arthritis, like it can be painful, but honest to God, like, like staying fluid with your body actually helps it, like,
yeah,
alleviate some of the pain. Like, believe it or not.
100%.
Yeah.
Maybe not the no, maybe not the 300 miles, but like just getting
No.
moving, I think is it unbelievable, and like so much grit and determination to be able to finish
Oh,
that
yeah.
in a
Yeah.
brace, knowing that you've got one joint that's trying to desperately let you down, and you're like, no, I will not have that.
No.
Well,
You want
fuck
to
you,
talk
buddy.
about spirit. Oh, those girls are just my spirit animals out there. Like, just watching every
Absolutely.
single one of them go through, and then like, just they're such powerhouses, and like in the most beautiful way,
Yeah.
right? Like, you just see them, they the grit that they have, like, and they still look cute. Like, there's
Yeah.
something about like just still holding on to your feminine appeal. And it doesn't matter, like, when I speak like feminine appeal, I'm not talking about like girls that are straight. I'm talking about just girls in general.
Yeah.
And just holding on to that femininity that we have as women, and like still just hold, like, bypassing it. Like, you still look cute with the glitters and all this glam, and yet here you are,
Yeah.
just like covered in blood and like cactus needles, and like, and like, or got pedicures like with your nails polished. Like, it's so
Yeah.
freaking cute, and I love it so much. Or
There was so
wearing
much nail
bracelets,
varnish.
just honoring
Yeah.
just like our femininity. Yeah, like just honoring our femininity, and like yet still just like showing how strong we truly are. It was just so impactful in such a positive way. And then the crews that were out there supporting these runners, not just women runners, but the little girls that are seeing these female athletes like pushing through, like all the impact that it has on these girls. It's just amazing. I love
Yeah.
it so much.
It was inspirational. Like I watching all of the women do it, I was like, it's not inspired me to run, not quite. That's not. I'm just not a runner. It's inspired me to go back to the gym, so you can take that. But yeah, it was just awesome to see all these
Hmm.
women. Like special shout outs for me was definitely Simone. I know we spent quite a
Oh,
lot of time with Simone, didn't we? She was just a gem. I loved her. She
she's
was
truly.
so cute. She just was on point every time we got to her at an aid station as well. Like she was so happy to be there, so buzzing to just be getting it done and finished. And then there was
Hmm.
also another woman, I can't remember her name, but we saw her at Catalina, and I think at Rialto, she'd had a cactus spike right up into her heel. I
Oh.
can't remember what her name was, but I pulled it out. But it wasn't a proper cactus spike. It was only a tiny little bit. But we
Hmm.
managed to get it out, and she was like, "I feel like I've just been able to actually move now. I've got that out of there." And I was like, "Perfect. That's all we needed. Like all we
Yeah,
needed was for
yeah,
you to fucking keep moving."
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah,
she managed
yeah.
it, and
There's
it was
just
awesome.
so many. Like, I know some folk, like Andrea was out there, and well, even her pacer was just phenomenal. Like, some of these, actually, my buddy Coops was out there, and oh God, please forgive me, I forget her name, but she paced him over 100 miles, 100 fucking
Yeah,
miles,
yeah.
paced him. And like, and I was just like, it's not just the runners that are running the race, the pacers are out there too.
Nah, there was some
Eh,
gnarly paces, like proper gnarly
yeah.
paces. I couldn't believe how far some of them went. I know that a lot of them didn't really have a choice because of
Yeah,
where the
yeah,
aid stations were. They were could get picked apart, but like some of them had done, like some of them were doing ultras within the ultra just to pace,
yeah,
which is insane in itself. And then they
yeah,
would get to an aid station, they'd be like, "Oh no, it's all right, just deal with the runners. I don't need any help." And you're like, "You probably do.
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
probably need us to have a look at you. You are fucked."
Again, going back to just the generosity that they have, because like I was working on a couple runners at the last aid station, and there were some pacers that just wanted some attention, and they're like, no, 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 like they're in the race. I can be seen later. So when I finally get to them, I'm like, okay, honey, like let's get you back, you know.
Yeah,
And like, and they too were just absolutely grateful, you know, for the help that they too were getting. From us, you know, from volunteers at the aid stations or just from the medics in general, but just like because I mean, some of the sections were like 62 miles ish, so
huge
100K, or
sections.
the pacers would be like, "Fuck it, I'm already here. I want to experience this with you. Like, I'll take you a whole 100 miles," you know, and like, oh my god, like it. It's awesome. Like it was just awesome to see everything come together the way it did.
Yeah, totally agree. So let's move on then and do what our tips for completing it. So if you're looking now and you're thinking, "Fucking hell, this sounds like a good bit of crack. I'm gonna do this next year. I'm gonna sign up." What would your top tips be for getting this race finished?
Oh man. So I said it when I ran Black Canyons, which is a race in Arizona. I did 100K in February. It was like my first personal race, but I had done some segments of the AZT with Candace last year.
Yeah.
There's a couple takeaways. I'm going to say it in a joking manner, but it highlights just it highlights how important it is to train these aspects. First of all, rule one. Walk on Legos barefoot. To get comfortable with the rocky terrain. Rule two, kick every rock you possibly can. You might as well get rid of the toenails now in advance. Okay. But build up the tips of your feet to really embrace the rocks. And number three tip, make a bed of cactus needles and sleep in it.
Pro tips. Pro tips.
Pro tips. But honestly, like it is challenging terrain. It is rocky, and it's not rocky in a way where the rocks don't move. They're not stable. Like you step on a rock and it just wobbles. So
Yeah.
strengthening ankles with like some balance postures, you know, mobile balance postures like on a Bosu ball, get on there so your ankle actually has to rotate and move. Those are
Yeah.
really, really helpful. I kid you not, the walking on Legos actually really helps. Just getting your feet familiar with terrible terrain. Kicking rocks is a real thing because like the more weak your body gets, or fatigued I should say, you're going to find that your feet are finding the rocks before your eyeballs do. So
Yeah.
just getting acclimated to actually like kicking rocks is pretty intense. And then like these races require sleep, and when you're in a desert climate, like everything's prickly.
Yeah.
so um so finding a way to just be comfortable in discomfort, which is an ultra running thing, being
Yeah.
like comfortable in discomfort, because you're not going to really find too many places that don't have pricklies. um and then like just at the end of the day, when it comes to ultra running, learning how to be comfortable in discomfort.
Yeah.
um you know, and one thing I love to tell some of my friends that are new to the ultra community, or just runners, like kind reminders if you will, is acknowledging something. So acknowledge, accept, but don't give it life is the
Yeah.
best tip I can provide you. Emotional or psychological issues will rise. Acknowledge what's going on, like what is going on in my head right now. Accept it. So bringing acceptance to whatever is going on allows you to move through this emotion, but not giving it life. Don't let it control your destiny. Don't let it control the present moment. You know, allow it to move through and recognize that it is temporary. So, and you are in control. So don't let the emotion ride you. Let it go through and realize that in this present moment, there's nothing else that exists except what is around you in that
Yeah.
moment. So those are the best tips I can provide you for Arizona. Oh, and heat acclimation.
Yeah, yeah, I
Go
love
sit in a
that.
sweat box.
Yeah, I definitely think the heat acclimation is something to be fully aware of for sure, and I think as well, like the doing it, but also being able to sleep in that environment. Like you said, like sleep, I think was the most important thing. You need to be able to sleep in horrifically uncomfortable circumstances. And if you can't do that and you can't switch yourself off, put things in place that will allow you to then do that, like sleep masks or earbuds, whatever you need to just be able to
Yeah.
get those 5-10 minutes of rest when you can grab them. Because sometimes, like, it was 100 degrees during the day, you're not going to sleep in a car like that. Like, you'll
No.
die. Like, so
Yeah.
you need to be able to find a place where you will be able to sleep and you will be able to just shut off for a little bit and get that rest, because that is just so important, isn't it, throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, what are your tips?
Well, to be fair,
Thing that-
my tips are very similar. One thing that I did like, and especially with you saying like the whole, if you're feeling an emotion, just work yourself through it, accept it, and move on. Don't let it control you. And I think that's the thing I heard a lot of the time during this race was don't make decisions based on temporary feelings. And I think that was
Mhm.
because a lot of people would get to the aid stations, they'd be so worked up and they'd be like, I can't do it. I can't carry on anymore. And you're like, let's just have a minute. What's going on? What can you
Mhm.
smell? What can you see? What do you feel? Like, let's go back to our 5 basic senses, ground ourselves, and then go, is this the end of the world? Can I carry on? Yes, I absolutely can.
Mhm.
It's not that big of a deal. Whatever this problem is right now, it's probably not that big of a deal. We can work through it somehow. And I think I heard it loads. Like every aid station I was at, someone was saying, don't make a decision based on temporary feelings. And I think that's a massive thing to take with you, is just to not make those rash decisions when you feel like your back's up against the wall a little bit.
Absolutely. And it translates to everyday life. A
Yeah,
lot of this stuff just translates to everyday life. Like, because when you and we make rash decisions in rash emotions sometimes, and I get it. We're human, right?
yeah,
But learning how to ground that moment, especially when you know that you went into this wanting this,
yeah,
knowing that these things are going to rise, but when they do, it's really hard to handle sometimes. So having that kind reminder of like, before you make a decision, rest, sleep and eat, and like reminding the crew that
yeah,
before a runner or themselves makes a rash decision to sleep and eat,
yeah,
because no smart decision is made on a ratty mind, if you will.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's I can't remember what I was going to say. I think it's no, I do remember what I was going to say. It's my brain is like working at about 10% right now. It's on its way out. It's like the fucking birds have stolen it. There's nothing left. But no, I think and it's funny because I'm not a very spiritual person. I'm not like it's always been a bit like heebie-jeebie for me. I'm a bit like, nah, I am what I am, straightforward as fuck. Like, don't I'm not a big emotional person. I'm not a very huggy person, which I know will be a shock because I fucking hugged everybody on that race. Like anyone who came near me, I was like, come here. So yeah, but I think that entire race definitely changed me. Like I went on a journey throughout that whole thing because I feel like I was so different when I came back. I was a different person. I was like, no, I totally believe in this whole grounding thing and spending some time and like understanding yourself better to then be able to do things that you want to do, because
Mhm,
just watching and being so inspired by everybody around me, I was a bit like,
mhm.
oh, this is a bit tutti fruity, isn't it? Like this is a bit heebie jeebie. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like this is awesome. This is like it's perfect. It's making me feel better about myself, like just being around this environment. So yeah, it's definitely changed. When everyone's like, "Oh, you go on a journey on these races," I'm like, "All right then," and I'm like, "Fucking hell, I did. I've been
Yeah,
on a
yeah,
journey."
yeah. And I was wondering, like, why at the end of the race, why I was feeling emotional. Like, I was like, why am I feeling? Because you do. Like, witnessing these folks. I mean, going back to like, we had some dudes in there who were 70 years old. Like,
Yeah,
come on. Like, everything that we're told by folks that are not part of this community really don't have a full scope of this. And so you as an outsider, you're coming in, you're not fully ingrained and familiar with the whole ultra community. So hearing
Yeah,
it from you too, that like as an outsider, like I went through a journey too. You really do. You see things that we think are impossible, yet
yeah,
reminded that I am possible. And to do crazy things. And it's not even crazy. It's really not that crazy. We're
yeah,
just moving. We're
yeah,
just moving forward. And like, and that's what our body is designed to do. Move
yeah,
forward. You have 5 rules in ultra running, 4 for hundreds, but 5. You eat, drink, take care of your feet, you sleep, and you move forward. And
yeah.
that's it. It's basic
Rules to live
body
by.
stuff.
Yeah, rules to live by. No, we love
Oh,
that.
I
This
love
has
that you
been
had an
great.
emotional journey too, though.
Oh my god! Literally, when I was leaving, so we left that Airbnb on the Saturday morning, and I cried leaving that Airbnb because I was like, I don't want to leave. This has been like one of the best experiences of my life. Like, I don't want to go home. Like, and obviously, I did want to go home because I missed everybody at home, and I missed like all the dogs and stuff like that. But I genuinely like it was just such a it was I'm not one to say it lightly, but it was a life changing experience for me, 100%. Like I came back the same person, but a very different mindset to how I'm going to approach things in my future and like future decisions that I'm going to make. And I would have paid for that experience, like fucking hell, and I got it for free.
You did. I will say though, because I know where you're at overseas, there's plenty of places to volunteer, and
Oh,
like,
100%.
and yeah, and I encourage anybody, like, if you're not a runner, but you want to just like dive in, volunteer. We're always looking for volunteers at runs, and not just these long distances, just runs. And it is a journey. It's something to experience when you witness somebody do something they've never thought or considered doing in their life, and there they are finishing huge accomplishment. Like everything from a 5K, people underestimate the power of a 5K, but
Yeah.
like a 5K to a 500K now. Um, it is so fulfilling and emotional to watch somebody do something grand, and it's life changing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. My plan is to try and find some more races to volunteer at because now I feel like I've got so much information that I can use. I'm full of
Yeah,
useful information, but that's only useful in this one scenario where people are running for miles. So
yeah, yeah.
I need to find places now for that outlet so that I can do it again and like get the same feelings. So yeah, I'll be volunteering at races. I'm going to try and get out to Destination Trail as much as I possibly can, but I mean, this one's nearly finished me off monetarily. It's been an expensive couple of weeks, so I'll have to
Yeah,
save up coming back out again, I think.
yeah. Well, you're always welcome, desired, wanted, sought
Ah,
after.
I will be trying to get out there as much as possible, like 100%. I would
Yay!
love to come out again. It would be awesome.
Yay!
So, right, let's move on. Final bit then, because I've kept you for hours now. So, the final part of the podcast is the silly goose.
Silly goose. It's silly goose time, where our lips get loose and our minds run free. Silly goose. It's silly goose time, where we chat a load of shit that's of absolutely no use. It's silly goose time.
Where we ask a stupid, random, silly question and we see what you feel about it. So, mine's very Arizona themed, obviously. So, first of all, if you could be a type of Arizona monster, what type of monster would you be? So, this can be either animal based or actual monster based, like we got on the little cards that they gave out at the end. Up to you.
Ah,
But it has to be beneficial within the Arizona terrain, though. So, that's your reasoning for which monster you would pick.
I think the saguaro cactus or a jumping cholla.
What's a
Probably,
jumping choya?
probably the jumping cholla because they're assholes. It's not even an animal. It's a little cactus. It's a ground cactus typically, but they look like little ovals. They look fuzzy and cute.
I've
And
heard about these.
yeah, and they got needles, but the needles have barbs on them. So I've got struck by a jumping cholla, and like they tell the greatest stories because like they're jumping choyas, but people are all like, but is that an animal? No, it's a cactus.
Yeah.
Typically it'll hit your shoe and then like first reaction is like shake your foot. And where does it end up? On another part of your body. And then you're trying to pull it off and then it hits another part of your body. So like just like I tell all my best of friends, like I'm the octopus stuck on your face. Like you're stuck with me for life. In Arizona, I want to be the jumping choya. You are stuck with me for life. Like
Stuck
we
with
are going to
people
have the
forever.
story of a lifetime.
Yeah, someone was telling me about these because they said there's two types. There's the non-jumping type and then there's the jumping type. And you've just got to watch out for the jumping type because they'll get
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, fuck that. I feel very lucky that I never got caught by a cactus at all this entire time. I don't know how I managed it, but I didn't. I pulled a lot of cactus spikes out of other people, but I managed to stay safe.
All I'm gonna say is my advice of making a bed out of cactus is from experience.
Just used to it.
I definitely found my needles.
Yeah, they were terrible. Some of them were so rough, those cactuses. So fucking rough, weren't they? And what I found as well, I don't know whether it was the same for you, but when I started to dig them out of people, there would always be 2 or 3. There was never just one. Like,
Oh no.
you'd pop a little spot and you'd be like, oh, there's surely only one big one in here. And you'd start pulling and you'd be like, hang on a minute, dude, there's 3 or 4 in here. We're going to have to excavate.
Yep. It's like fiberglass hairs in some cases.
Yeah, they were awful. Absolutely minging. Absolutely minging. No, I think do you know what I didn't see while I was out there that I was desperate to see? And I know Taylor Spike saw a couple of them, mountain lions.
Monsters!
No, so yeah, I saw people who had seen monsters as well. Yeah, so it's not called Gila monster, is it? Is it Gila monster?
Gila, yes.
Gila monster. Yeah, so that's what the race was sort of like built around. That was the like what was it, emblem logo, something like that. But they're real things, and I was shocked to find out that it was a real thing. Someone showed me a picture of one, and I was like, "What is that? What is this weird little thing?"
They're so cute.
They are really cute, but they're big. They're way bigger than I expected. I thought they were going to be like this sort of size, but they're not like that. They're big slow things, aren't they?
They're also very don't touch them. They are no touch. They got jaws of steel and poisonous. So they're the cute assholes.
Yeah. They're the look but don't touch ones. I know. I saw a few people had seen rattlesnakes as well, which I was desperate to find. I really want to see a rattlesnake, but I never saw one. But people were saying that they'd found a few knocking about on the trails, and tarantulas. There's a lot of tarantulas knocking around.
I total tandem. I've come across rattlesnakes when I lived in California, and I'm fine. But the first and only time I came across a tarantula, I turned around and went home.
That's too much. No, done.
That was my nope. I was like, nope, I'm good.
I know. Some people were saying to me there was wolf spiders out on the trail. Have you ever seen a wolf spider before?
Yes. Yeah.
They're terrifying. I would have hated to see one of them. That would have really upset me.
Black widows, all those, just the heebie-jeebies. Like spiders are.
I don't usually mind them. Like in the UK, I'm fine, but I think because I was so aware that whatever I touched out there would potentially kill me, I was much more cautious than I would usually be. Like usually I'd be kicking around like, whatever, it doesn't matter. If I get bit, I get bit. But out there, I was like, no.
It's like it's the Australia of the Americas.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? There were some crazy animals. Did you see any coyote mundies?
Any what now?
Coyote mundies. I think that's how you say it.
No, I honest to God, I didn't see any animals. I saw nothing. All the trails I was on, and even when I was pacing Drew, like I saw nothing. I was so sad.
Yeah, this is what I thought as well. I was expecting to see so much more stuff, and I didn't. Like I think because we were just so busy, we were just looking at too many feet, weren't we? But
yeah. Those dogs were barking.
Yeah. Did you hear the coyotes howling on a night time as well? I heard them. They were crazy.
Oh, they have the most beautiful sound though. Like they would
Yeah.
sing out there and it was so lovely.
Yeah, I saw them kicking about at Denny's outside of
Oh,
Rialto aid
oh,
station.
you reminded me. So I after Drew finished, I grabbed my truck and we're driving back to your B&B. Like I saw javelinas. I saw
No!
javelinas right there in Patagonia, but it's not just seeing javelinas. They were like this whole cluster of them, and they were digging in the trash behind a restaurant.
Oh my God,
They were
amazing.
literally pulling a whole trash bag out, and they're just like, ah.
Just causing pure havoc. I love javelinas. They're honestly, I didn't even see one in real life. I was so sick because they're so cool. They're just like tiny pigs for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah,
But they cause
yeah,
they're like raccoons, aren't they? They cause pure havoc wherever they
yeah.
go.
There was a
Just
whole
knocking down.
clan, like 10 at least, and they were just pulling trash out and like crossing the street. One was just lying in the road, and I was like, this made my day. Like
Class.
I got to see
Class.
javelinas.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Do you know what
tearing
as
eyed.
well? Before I leave you, I'll tell you a little sneaky fact as well. So when we were getting tattooed by the girl in Patagonia, she said that there's shrimp in the mountains, in the little creeks and the streams coming off the mountains. There's
Oh
shrimp.
yeah, crawdads.
I think so. I don't,
Yeah,
she called them shrimp to me, and I was like, "What shrimp?" And she's like, "Yeah, you can find them." And I was like, "What the fuck are they doing up there? How have they got
yeah.
there?"
There's
Bizarre.
they're like a freshwater version of shrimp. They are like a crawfish essentially.
Wild, absolutely
Yeah,
wild. I would have loved to have
yeah.
seen one of them as well, but anyway, it
I
means
guess
I
we'll
have to
have to
come
go
out again,
diving.
doesn't it? Yep,
Yeah.
I have to come out again to find all these animals that I didn't see the first
Like,
time around.
we're gonna have to run the monster, huh?
No. No way. Never gonna agree to that. I will die before I run 300 miles.
Your title would be Strong Woman Runs 300. How
there's
strong is she?
there's not enough Luco tape in the world to keep me going through that race.
Or
Not enough in
Desitin.
the world. Yeah, not enough. I'd never make it. But well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It has been awesome. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Wonderlost Unicorn, which I can send you the write up of it, or
Yep.
Thor Trail Race Medic are my two handles, and yeah, like I'm otherwise it's just email.
Yeah,
But
I'll tag all
Instagram's
I'll
probably
tag your
best.
socials. Yeah, I'll tag your socials below. And if people want to get in
Fantastic.
touch with you, get in touch on socials. And if you want to go and support Thor on her first ever 200 at Tahoe, then
Yeah.
get yourself volunteered. What are you doing? If you're in
Yeah.
America and you're near Tahoe, just go volunteer. Go and get a bit of the fucking action because it is 100% worth it.
It's gonna be grand. I'm not lying when I said I'm scared out of my mind. I have a fantastic team, mostly girls,
Hell yeah.
girl power, and a lot of actually me and two of the girls are veterans, military veterans.
Nice.
And then my other friend is my PT, so she gets to experience it from your perspective too. But total
Perfect.
girl power going on. The two guys that I have, if my dad can still make it, and then my other buddy that's coming out, are just going to be suckered in with some estrogen, and which is fine. Like by all means, probably a lot of tears too, because I cry a lot when I'm out there.
It's fair enough. I
But,
probably would too.
yeah, I'll be honest though, as scared as I am, like having worked with Destination Trail and everybody at these aid stations, I have no doubt in my mind I'm in great hands. Everybody here is just phenomenal. The volunteers, the staff, people, just everyone in general. So I'm very much looking forward to experiencing it from the runner's perspective and tackling my first 200-mile journey. So I appreciate your support as well. And
No,
yeah,
it'd be
guys, if
awesome.
you're overseas here, you want to come overseas and you want a great vacation spot, Lake Tahoe, California is where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. You will not regret it.
Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
that's amazing. Right. Well, thank you so much. And we will
Oh, thanks,
see you
dear.
all next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Strong Woman Highs, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to support the podcast, then please give us a follow on Instagram or if you would like, we're also on buymeacoffee.com/strongwomanhighs. This is where you can send us tips, or you can also join our membership area, which is $5 a month or £4 a month. It's the silly gosling level. We'll post out any extra content that we get on there, and hopefully a few little like free giveaways of things as well. The podcast currently doesn't cost a lot to run, which is what we're trying to keep it as, but we would like to be able to cover our costs, and also once those costs are covered, any profit that is made on Strong Woman Highs will be getting saved up and put into a pot for future Strong Woman competitions that we can sponsor. So if you have a Strong Woman competition that you'd like to be sponsored, or if you want to be on the podcast, then give us a shout, send me a message on Instagram or on YouTube, anywhere else you can get us, and we'll get it sorted, because the more women that we can get on, the better. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye!